In the heart of a bustling city, where skyscrapers pierced the heavens and streets throbbed with life, the sun dipped low, casting a golden hue over the skyline. This vibrant metropolis thrived under the watchful eyes of its protectors, the superheroes who patrolled the skies. Among them, Lien Xia stood out, a beacon of hope with fiery red hair and eyes that flickered like flames. Known as Phoenix, she wielded the power of fire, a gift she had mastered through years of training and sacrifice. Lien had become a legend, celebrated for her bravery and her unwavering commitment to protecting the innocent. She had fought countless battles, but none compared to the showdown with her greatest foe, Obsidian, a dark sorcerer whose very name sent chills through the hearts of those who heard it. The city had held its breath during their final confrontation, a clash that illuminated the night sky with waves of blistering heat and eerie shadows. As the two forces collided, Lien felt her power surge, a tide of flames rising to meet Obsidian's dark magic. She fought with every ounce of strength she possessed, knowing that the fate of her city hung in the balance. The battle raged, a tempest of fire and shadow, until Lien made the ultimate sacrifice. In a moment of desperation, she unleashed a torrent of flames, engulfing herself and Obsidian in an explosion that shook the very foundations of the earth. In that blinding light, she gave everything, and the city was saved, but at a devastating cost. Years passed. The city continued to thrive, but Lien was gone. Her legacy lived on in the hearts of those she had inspired, but the pain of her loss lingered like a shadow. Little did they know, deep within the fabric of existence, a mysterious force stirred, one that had witnessed her sacrifice and deemed it too great to let fade into memory. In a realm beyond time, Lien floated amidst a sea of ethereal flames, her consciousness flickering like a dying ember. She felt warmth and comfort, yet a profound emptiness gnawed at her. Gradually, she became aware of a presence beside her, a figure cloaked in golden light, radiating wisdom and strength. "Welcome, Lien Xia," the figure intoned, their voice echoing like the crackling of flames. "I am the Flame Keeper. You have been given a second chance." Lien blinked, disoriented. "Why am I here? What happened?" "The sacrifice you made was great," the Flame Keeper explained. "You protected your world, but the darkness you faced has left a void. I have returned you to your home, but know this, your memories are fragmented, and your powers lie dormant. A new threat rises, one that seeks to draw strength from your lost past." With those words, Lien was thrust back into her world, crashing onto the familiar asphalt of the city she had fought to protect. She gasped, the air hot and charged with energy. But as she looked around, confusion washed over her. Faces and places from her past felt distant and blurred, like an old photograph fading with time. Struggling to her feet, Lien staggered through the streets, her heart racing. She sensed the city's pulse, but something was wrong. The people around her were oblivious to her presence, moving about their lives as if she had never existed. Panic surged within her. Who was she now? Days turned into weeks, and Lien roamed the city in search of answers. She watched as crime crept back into the streets, whispers of a new villain, Shadow Wraith, who had begun to sow chaos. With every passing day, the darkness grew, feeding on the fear of the citizens. Lien felt it deep within her, a primal urge to act, but she struggled to summon the fire that once defined her. It was during one of her aimless wanderings that she encountered Jean, a young man with bright eyes and a quick wit, who had taken notice of her struggles. "You look like you've seen a ghost," he remarked, a teasing grin on his face. "Or maybe a phoenix." Lien managed a weak smile, intrigued by his playful spirit. "More like a lost bird." "You're not the only one," Jean replied, his expression shifting to one of empathy. This city needs heroes now more than ever. I've been following the news, and Shadow Wraith is a real problem. You look like you could use some help." Lien felt a flicker of recognition at his words. "I used to be a hero." "Used to be? Why not again?" Jean leaned closer, eyes bright with determination. "You have that fire in you. You just need to remember how to use it." Inspired by his belief, Lien agreed to train with him, hoping it would rekindle her lost abilities. As they began their sessions, Jean introduced her to various techniques to control her flames, igniting the spark of her former self. Together, they practiced in secluded parks, amidst the sounds of nature, where Lien could safely explore the depths of her powers. During one particularly intense training session, Lien felt the warmth of the sun on her skin, and a memory washed over her like a wave, a time when she had stood atop a building, fire spiraling around her as she defended the city. The sensation was overwhelming. It was as if a piece of her had been reignited. She grasped Jin's shoulder, breathless. "I remember," she exclaimed, her heart racing. "I remember who I was." But the moment of triumph was short-lived. As she began to feel her strength returning, a surge of darkness swept through the city. News reports flooded in about Shadow Wraith's attacks. Places she had once called home were being engulfed in fear and destruction. With renewed determination, Lien and Jean set out to confront this new threat. They arrived at the scene of the latest chaos, a once bustling market now filled with frightened people, shadows creeping along the walls. Lien's heart pounded as she felt the pulse of fear coursing through the crowd. "Stay back," a voice echoed from the center of the chaos. Shadow Wraith, a figure cloaked in darkness, stood tall, drawing power from the fear surrounding him. "This city belongs to me now." Lien's instincts kicked in, but doubt clouded her mind. "What do we do?" she whispered to Jean. "We face him," he replied, his resolve unwavering. "You're Phoenix. You can do this." Taking a deep breath, Lien stepped forward, summoning the warmth within her. The flames flickered to life, dancing around her hands. "You won't take this city," she declared, her voice stronger than she felt. "I am here to protect it." Shadow Wraith turned, his eyes narrowing. "Ah, the fallen hero returns. But you are nothing without your memories, without your true power." As he advanced, shadows writhed around him, lashing out like tendrils of darkness. Lien reacted instinctively, firing jets of flame to counter the attack, but her powers felt weak, unstable. The fire erupted in a burst, momentarily illuminating the scene, but it was not enough to deter the overwhelming force of Shadow Wraith. "We need to retreat," Jean shouted, pulling Lien back as the dark energy surged forward, threatening to engulf them both. They stumbled, narrowly escaping the grasp of the shadows. Regrouping behind a nearby building, Lien's heart sank. She felt the remnants of her power flicker like a dying flame. "I can't do this," she murmured, frustration and fear mingling in her chest. "You can," Jean insisted, his eyes fierce. "You just have to remember what you're fighting for. Think of the people out there, think of the city." In that moment, Lien closed her eyes, letting his words sink in. Images of her friends, of the city she loved, surged through her mind. She recalled the warmth of camaraderie, the laughter shared, the hope she had ignited in others. And with that, something shifted within her. She felt the flicker of flames deep inside, growing stronger as she embraced her memories, her past. "Let's go," she said, a newfound determination coursing through her. Together, they rushed back into the fray, Lien feeling the heat of the flames surge in her veins. She focused, channeling everything she had into the fire, letting it wash over her, filling the cracks of doubt. As they emerged from behind the building, Lien faced Shadow Wraith again, a blaze of fire encircling her like a halo. "You won't win," she shouted, her voice echoing with confidence. "I am not alone. I am the Phoenix." The battle resumed, this time with renewed vigor. Lien unleashed a torrent of flames, combining her power with Jin's strategic guidance. Together, they maneuvered through the chaos, dodging Shadow Wraith's dark attacks while striking back with precision and strength. As Lien fought, memories flooded back, moments of joy, pain, sacrifice, and hope. With every pulse of fire, she felt more complete, the pieces of her identity merging into a cohesive force. She wasn't just a hero, she was a protector, a symbol of resilience. Finally, in a climactic surge of energy, Lien launched a final, blazing strike, intertwining her flames with Jin's innovative tech that created a blinding light. The shadows writhed and shrieked, dissipating into the air as Shadow Wraith staggered back, his power waning, and "Oh," he cried, but it was too late. Lien's fire enveloped him, consuming the darkness and restoring light to the city. The air crackled with energy, and as the shadows faded, the citizens emerged from their hiding places, awe and gratitude replacing fear. Breathless, Lien and Jean stood amidst the cheers of the crowd, their hearts racing with the thrill of victory. Yet as the realization settled in, Lien knew this was just the beginning. The world was vast, filled with challenges and adversaries, and she was ready to embrace it all. The flames danced around her, a reminder of her rebirth, of the phoenix that had risen from the ashes. With newfound strength and a purpose ignited in her heart, Lien took a deep breath, ready to protect her city, her home, and all those who needed her. In the aftermath of the battle, the city began to heal. Citizens emerged from their homes, stepping into the light with cautious hope. Lien felt a sense of pride swell within her. She had reclaimed not just her powers but also her identity. No longer a lost memory, she was Phoenix once more. As days turned to weeks, Lien and Jean became a formidable team. They trained together tirelessly, honing their skills and strategies, ready to face any new threats that dared to challenge their city. Lien learned to merge her fire with Jin's technological innovations, creating dazzling displays of power that both inspired and protected. Yet, with every victory, Lien felt a lingering fear. The darkness that had manifested in Shadow Wraith had not been completely vanquished. It had only retreated, waiting for the right moment to strike again. She spent countless nights gazing out at the city from her rooftop perch, contemplating the shadows that still lurked at the edges of her vision point. One evening, as the sun set in a blaze of orange and purple, Jean joined her on the rooftop. "You've been quiet lately," he noted, concern etched on his face. "What's on your mind?" Lien sighed, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "I can feel it, Jean. The darkness is still out there, lurking. We may have defeated Shadow Wraith, but I sense that it's just the beginning. There are more threats waiting in the shadows." Jean leaned against the railing, thoughtful. "You've been through so much, Lien. It's natural to feel uneasy. But you're stronger than you realize. We'll face whatever comes together. I appreciate that, but what if I lose control again?" Lien's voice trembled. "What if I can't protect the people I care about?" He turned to her, his expression resolute. "You're not alone. You have allies, friends who believe in you. You have your memories now, they're part of you. Use them." That night, Lien lay awake, replaying Jin's words in her mind. As she closed her eyes, she envisioned the flames that once defined her. They flickered in her imagination, vibrant and alive. With that thought, she felt the warmth returning, wrapping around her like a comforting embrace. The next day, Lien and Jean decided to expand their efforts. They began reaching out to other heroes in the city, inviting them to join their cause. Together, they formed a coalition, a network of allies ready to protect the city from emerging threats. They met in secret, sharing intelligence and strategies, igniting a spark of hope among those who had felt the shadows creeping back into their lives. Among those they gathered was Kaya, a young girl with a talent for harnessing small flames, who idolized Lien. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and Lien couldn't help but feel a sense of responsibility for the next generation of heroes. She saw herself in Kaya, full of potential and passion. "Teach me, Phoenix," Kaya pleaded, her eyes wide with admiration. "I want to be just like you." Lien smiled, the warmth of the girl's enthusiasm rekindling her own passion. "You have the fire within you, Kaya. Together, we can make you even stronger." As weeks passed, Lien trained Kaya in the art of fire control, sharing the lessons she had learned through her own trials. Under Lien's mentorship, Kaya blossomed, mastering her abilities with determination and grace. Together, they formed a bond that felt like family, a reminder that hope could be born even in the face of adversity. However, as Lien guided Kaya, a sense of unease lingered. The city's peace felt tenuous, like a fragile thread ready to snap. Shadows darted at the edges of her vision, whispers of an impending threat echoing in her mind. One night, as the coalition met in a dimly lit warehouse, an urgent message arrived. An ominous figure had been spotted, gathering dark forces in a hidden part of the city. The members exchanged worried glances, the weight of fear settling among them. "Who is it?" Lien demanded, her heart racing. "The remnants of Obsidian's followers," Jean replied, grim determination in his voice. "They've been searching for a way to revive his power. They want to unleash chaos again." Lien felt her stomach drop. The darkness she had sensed had a name. "We can't let them succeed. We have to act now." They formulated a plan, each member contributing their strengths. Lien took charge, her leadership flowing naturally as they prepared to confront the encroaching darkness. Kaya stood by her side, a fire flickering in her heart. As they approached the location of the gathering, tension crackled in the air. Lien could feel the heat rising, not just from her own powers, but from the fear and anger of those who had suffered under Obsidian's reign. This was their chance to stand united and show that light would always triumph over darkness. When they arrived, they found a group of figures cloaked in shadows, chanting incantations that sent chills down Lien's spine. She took a deep breath, igniting flames in her palms as she stepped forward. "Stop this at once," she commanded, her voice echoing through the night. The dark figures turned, revealing their faces, twisted with malice and desperation. One stepped forward, a tall figure with a hood pulled low, eyes glowing like embers. "You think you can stop us, Phoenix? Obsidian's power will rise again, and you will fall." Without hesitation, Lien launched a wave of fire toward the group. The flames blazed brightly, illuminating the darkness and dispersing the shadows. But the figures retaliated, unleashing tendrils of dark energy that lashed out at her. Together, Lien shouted, rallying her allies. As they fought side by side, Kaya unleashed her own flames, her confidence growing with every successful strike. Lien felt a surge of pride as she watched the young girl rise to the occasion, a true warrior in the making. The battle raged on, a chaotic dance of light and dark. Lien felt her strength wane, but she pushed forward, recalling the faces of those she fought for, the citizens, her friends, and the future generations who looked up to her. As the dark figures faltered, Lien seized the moment, channeling all her power into a single, brilliant flame. For the city. For everyone, she cried, launching the fire forward in a dazzling display of power. The flames engulfed the shadowy figures, purging the darkness and shattering their incantations. In the midst of the chaos, Lien felt a presence surge beside her. Jean had activated one of his inventions, a device that amplified her fire, creating a radiant explosion of light. When the light faded, the dark figures were scattered, their power broken. The remnants of Obsidian's followers fled into the night, and the coalition stood victorious, exhausted but triumphant. Lien turned to her allies, a mixture of relief and exhilaration flooding her senses. They had stood together, united against the darkness, proving that hope and courage could overcome even the most insurmountable odds. As they regrouped, Kaya rushed to Lien, her eyes shining with admiration. "We did it. We really did it." Lien knelt beside her, pride swelling in her chest. "You were incredible, Kaya. You fought bravely, and you should always remember that you have the power to make a difference." In that moment, surrounded by her friends and allies, Lien felt whole. The shadows that had once haunted her began to dissipate, replaced by the warmth of camaraderie and shared purpose. Yet as they celebrated their victory, a lingering thought crept into Lien's mind. The darkness was not truly vanquished, it could return, stronger than before. She understood now that her journey was not just about reclaiming her powers but also about protecting the light and hope that she had reignited within her community. In the days that followed, Lien and her coalition began to lay the groundwork for a new era of vigilance. They established training programs, mentorships, and community outreach initiatives, ensuring that the next generation of heroes would be prepared for whatever lay ahead. Lien had found her purpose, not just as a hero, but as a mentor and protector. She was the phoenix, not merely rising from the ashes, but soaring with newfound strength and wisdom. One evening, as she stood on her rooftop overlooking the city, she felt a sense of peace wash over her. The flames danced in the distance, the city alive with possibility. Lien knew that while darkness may always linger at the edges, it could never extinguish the fire of hope. With Kaya and her friends by her side, she was ready to face whatever came next, determined to protect her home and the people she loved. As long as the phoenix burned bright within her, she would rise again and again, a guardian against the shadows.